Hello and welcome to this video on bonsai roots. Bonsai have this strangely persistent myth that the root ball is pruned to stunt the tree's growth. It is a strange myth because it is very much the opposite of what happens. This video will describe the basics of bonsai roots and what is. Bonsai tree roots are easily divided into 4 major sections. The nebari, which is the connection between trunk and roots of the tree, the taproot of trees, the fine feeder roots, and the substantial roots that would normally fix a tree in place. The nebari is the beginning of good root structure and tree design. It sits across the top of the soil and should be the first sign that root pruning is a very different creature to what is imagined. A good nebari is generated by vigorous growth of the root system and is necessary to both support the root's growth and give it a point to grow from. As the roots develop, the nebari grows. This in turn improves the trunk. To get the best tree, you should generally begin here. The nebari also performs a second function. It helps to fix the tree in place. It is an anchor point due to its size and all the associated root structures. This is another reason why bigger is better, or at least up to a point, as everything should be scaled to the tree's total size. In a small pot like that used for bonsai, it covers a surprising amount of the surface. But it is just that, the surface of bonsai roots. Next is the taproot. In certain naturally growing species of tree, there is a taproot. In some species, this does not last beyond the initial stages of growth. In others, it is a lifelong addition. It is a large root growing directly from the trunk base in the nebari, straight down and into the soil. This is a literal anchor in the ground for trees. Not something that is desirable in a bonsai. It has one function and one function only, to take up space and prevent movement. In a bonsai pot, this is unnecessary. The tree will be held down, temporarily, with wire, if it needs to be fixed in place. This will remain in place until the root structures develop enough to hold it there. As is commonly thought, this root is removed, but it is not done so to stunt growth, but it is the main root pruned for growth reasons. Removing this solid mass achieves the first and main reason for root pruning. It opens up space for potting mix, fertilizer, and water. Next are the roots used to fix the tree in place. As with the taproot and nebari, these are both necessary to fix the tree in place and need to be removed to fit soil, fertilizer, and water. It is a matter of which ones and where. They are called primary or lateral roots as they grow radially from the trunk. These large roots that fix the tree in place and can be found on the surface of pots that hold very odd-looking trees. This is only on the surface, and they are almost only cosmetic in value. In some larger examples, they perform a counterbalance role, but for most small specimens, they only act as an aesthetic element. It is for the last reason that in most cases, you should remove large roots located below the top of the soil. This takes away the unnecessary, space-consuming roots that are made unnecessary by the wire that would normally hold a tree in the pot. Over time, the number of these large roots you need to retain will be reduced as the tree develops a fine network that supplants their need. Add to this a large nebari and better established surface level roots further increases the redundancy. You should try to remove the roots in a hemispherical shape under the trunk so that the roots radiate down and away. Some should be kept for several reasons. First, and most simply, is the tree is easier to handle and put in place. They are more solid and will sit on the soil mound under your tree. Second is that they will not cut or be broken by the wire you use to hold the tree down. If you do not use wire for this purpose, then you can reduce the number of large roots further. After having taken away the majority of these large roots, some should be kept, as they will act as a point of origin for the next category of roots, the fine feeder roots. These fine feeder roots are the last and both most important but easily replaced of roots. They are also more properly considered secondary growth, as they tend to circumvent the tree rather than grow away from it. These roots are what will grow out and away from the large fixing roots or trunk and into the soil. They are fine, hair-like structures that will generally be very pale, if not translucent. These fine roots are essential for the absorption of water and nutrients. Because of this, the roots will grow out and into the nearest soil that has these in trace quantities. These will gradually form into a dense, matte layer near the top of the pot. This coincides with the large fixing roots near or on the surface. This is directly associated with the proximity to the trunk and the shortest space between the nutrients and tree. The tree will develop roots to solve this problem as their need increases and the supply around the current roots dwindles. This growth also encourages the growth of nebari. This is needed to support the flow of nutrients through the bottleneck into the rest of the tree. As the tree ages in its pot, this dense layer will grow down into the soil. This will take up the space remaining that was previously occupied by the soil. This root mass is allowed to grow until the pot is full or very close to. This is when repotting occurs. The repotting process allows the soil to be replaced, and the tree grows new roots that will take up the space of the soil. This means the tree can put on new growth, using the resources that have been replaced and made available. Bonsai roots are not pruned to prevent growth, but to promote growth. The pruning of roots is used not to reduce growth, but remove mass. This is replaced with new soil that is full of the nutrients and organic material needed to facilitate growth. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it interesting or useful, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions below.